everybody's focus was on when the Fed will stop raising rates and when they will pivot, start cutting rates once again. But now everybody's saying it will be higher for longer. Maybe rates will remain at this elevated level in the US for a very long time. And that is probably material to us as well, because we can't function immune of what the US Federal Reserve is doing. So what is your expectation of what might pan out there?
No, I'll talk about the global situation, and let me also qualify by saying that I'm not giving any forward guidance or any indication about what the MPC is going to do in the first week of February.
No, I've not asked you that question either.
No, I'm not saying, you don't take it as a forward guidance for the MPC's decision to be taken. But if the geopolitical conflicts continue in the manner they are at the moment, if the geopolitical situation continues as it is, if there are no new flashpoints, because international geopolitics, if you see, there could be new flashpoints also. So if the current geopolitical crisis continues in the way it is, it could be a situation of high for long with regard to interest rates world over.
Including India.
Not just United States, but I think world over. Now, including India, I will not say, I have said world over.
India is part of the world.
India is part of the world. But having said that, I would also like to add that notwithstanding the geopolitical tensions persisting, every country, every system, human society knows how to adjust to a new situation. So global supply chains have considerably eased out compared to the supply chain bottlenecks which were there. There has been considerable improvement in the global supply chain situation. New alignments are being developed. Countries are, looking at new sources of supply. United States is looking at, there's this whole talk of China plus one. United States is looking at a situation where the semiconductor supply, they develop alternate sources, that is alternate to China. Yeah. So I think countries will find their way of improving the supply situation, in which event there could be a moderation in the, inflation numbers going forward. And also it all depends on the kind of, slowdown, to what extent the depth of the slowdown that countries are going to experience. 6 months ago, the expectation around global slowdown, global recession was much more grim than it is today. 6 months ago, everybody thought that there will be a recession in the European Union. I'm not ruling out that possibility, but it has improved considerably. United States also looked as if they will face a recession, but United States also may avoid a recession and perhaps just have a growth slowdown at best, and maybe a mild or a soft recession for a very, very temporary period. So there are so many uncertainties. Possibility of a high for long is very much there, but these are the, these are the uncertainties, these are the variables which one has to factor in. Very difficult. Last line again, very long answer. The bottom line is that given the uncertainties, one has to be prepared for all eventualities.
So, if it is high for long, you've not said it for India, I accept that. But I want to ask you, you've raised repo rates 5 times. How long do you think it takes for the cumulative interest rate hikes that you've done, A, to be translated by the banking system, and B, to have the kind of effect that you had in mind while raising those interest rates? How much time does it take in your eyes?
You see, normally it takes about minimum 7 to 8 months for the impact to really play out so far as inflation or any other, all other, the outcome of any monetary policy tightening or monetary policy easing. In the easing cycle, the liquidity also, if because injecting liquidity is much easier. So therefore, from that angle, the actual impact plays out faster. In a tightening cycle, pulling out liquidity takes time, so therefore it takes that much more time. So it takes at least 7 to 8 months for the impact to be felt. In the our researchers in RBI, of course, it does not reflect the views of the RBI in the report on currency and finance, which was done 2 years ago. Our researchers in RBI concluded that it will take about 4 quarters for the impact to be felt.
1 full year.
That is what they sort of said. That was their view. And they did not say it in that way. They said it in the context of definition of failure of monetary policy. Instead of being 3 quarters, it should be 4 quarters. So in that context, they had said. But I would say that it would take about at least 7 to 8 months for the impact to be felt.